Imagine standing on a peaceful hillside, high above the clouds, where time seems to stand still. Beneath your feet lies a mystery so incredible it could change everything we know about the world's history. Hidden in the shadows of Mount Ararat in Turkey, a towering, snow-covered volcano, there's a strange shape carved into the earth. From a distance, it looks like a massive, ancient boat resting after a long and impossible journey. But this isn't just any boat. Its size and shape almost perfectly match one of the most legendary vessels in history, Noah's Ark. Stories passed down through generations have drawn people to this mountain for centuries. They tell of a ship built by one man, big enough to carry pairs of every animal in the world. The ship endured a massive flood that destroyed entire civilizations, leaving only Noah, his family, and their valuable cargo to establish a new world. Scriptures, legends, and myths have narrated the story in countless forms, the tale of a man who saved life itself from being swallowed by the sea. But what if that story isn't just a myth? What if the Ark, or something like it, still lies where the waters left it? The shape on the hillside isn't irregular like most rock formations. Instead, it has smooth boundaries, curving as if shaped by human hands. It mirrors the biblical description of the Ark in astonishing ways. Measurements taken on site match the exact length, width, and height described in ancient texts. Scientists have dismissed it as a natural formation, the result of landslides and glaciers shaping the Earth. Decades ago, explorers tried to climb Mount Ararat, hoping to find remnants of the Ark. Legends said the Ark rested at the mountain's peak, but treacherous snow and ice kept it hidden. Even Marco Polo, the great explorer, spoke of it, claiming that it was there, though he never reached the summit. In the 1970s and 80s, an astronaut named James Irwin, who once walked on the moon, spent years searching the slopes. He believed that proving his existence would prove that God's word was true. Yet, like so many before him, he returned empty-handed. Then came the discovery that reignited hope, a boat-shaped formation over 30 kilometers south of Mount Ararat. A man named Andrew Jones, a devout researcher who first visited the site in the late 1990s, became obsessed with unlocking its secrets. For more than 2 decades, he returned again and again, convinced that he was walking on something extraordinary. Armed with the latest technology, including ground-penetrating radar, Andrew and his team scanned beneath the earth. They hoped to find patterns, a framework that would match the beams and ribs of a massive ship. They believed that if it were truly buried there, it would have left behind structures no natural process could create. As the radar pierced the ground, the images revealed something astonishing. Parallel lines, right angles, and shapes that suggested a design too deliberate to be the work of nature alone. The story of Noah's Ark has fascinated humanity for millennia, not just because of its religious significance, but because of what it represents, a second chance. The idea that life could be saved from the brink of destruction, that humanity could begin again, resonates deeply. In a world where disasters, both natural and human-made, constantly threaten the fragile balance of life, the Ark is a symbol of hope. It is the promise that survival is possible, that even when the waters rise, there is a way forward. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. In 1987, a startling turn of events reignited the world's curiosity. The Turkish government declared a strange boat-shaped formation lying over 30 kilometers south of Mount Ararat, a national protected area. The formation had first been spotted in 1959 by Turkish Army Captain İlhan Durupınar during a routine aerial survey. From the sky, it looked like a ship fossilized in the earth, its outline too precise, too deliberate to be just rock and soil. Scientists dismissed it as a natural phenomenon, a result of a massive landslide. In 1997, Andrew Jones first stepped onto the site. He was a young student then, brimming with excitement and driven by faith. The dirt beneath his feet, he believed, could hold the ultimate truth of human history. Jones wasn't just following a story, he was chasing the possibility that this formation might be a physical link to God's judgment and mercy, as told in the book of Genesis. According to the Bible, Noah's Ark measured 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, roughly 155 meters long, 26 meters wide, and 15 meters high. The formation matched these dimensions almost perfectly. The parallels were too precise to ignore. Faithful believers declared it divine proof. Yet science remained skeptical. David Montgomery, a leading geologist from the University of Washington, presented a starkly different view. According to Montgomery, the formation is Miocene limestone, aged between 10 to 20 million years, shaped by earth flows, massive mudslides that sculpt the earth into deceptive patterns. Montgomery explained that glacial movements common to the region could easily create a boat-like shape. The problem with believing this formation is the ark, he argued, is simple. Rocks don't float. Still, Andrew Jones refused to give up. His faith had become a weapon against modern skepticism. In the early 2000s, technological advances brought new hope. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, a tool capable of imaging what lay beneath the Earth's surface without digging, was brought to the site. The scans revealed something unsettling: parallel lines, right angles, and patterns deep underground. These were features not commonly found in natural formations. The scans hinted at a structure buried beneath years of sediment. Perhaps beams, ribs, and bulkheads, components of a ship's framework, lay hidden underground. Over the centuries, this search has driven explorers to the most dangerous corners of the Earth, pushed scholars to translate forgotten languages, and inspired countless debates between science and religion. Yet what draws people most to the story of Noah's Ark is not just the adventure or the possibility of a great flood. It is the promise that the Ark holds, proof that life can start again after disaster. This promise becomes even more compelling in a modern world where fears of climate change, war, and pandemics echo the themes of an ancient flood wiping out civilization. For some, the discovery of the Ark would mean more than a historical revelation. It would represent hope in a time when humanity once again feels vulnerable. The story suggests that no matter how grim the world becomes, there is always a way to survive and rebuild. This universal longing for hope and survival explains why the mystery of Noah's Ark remains relevant today. However, the human search for meaning doesn't end with faith alone. Take, for instance, the flood myths that appear in various ancient cultures. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh tells a story strikingly similar to that of Noah's Ark. The gods choose a man to construct a boat to withstand a divine flood that threatens to wipe out humanity. The parallels are too clear to be dismissed as mere coincidence. Further exploration reveals that these flood stories were likely inspired by real events. Archaeologists have found evidence of massive regional floods in the ancient world. Around 2900 BCE, a devastating flood swept through the Tigris-Euphrates Valley in Mesopotamia, disrupting early human settlements. For those living in these regions, such a flood would have felt like the end of the world. With limited understanding of the broader world, a flood destroying everything within one's sight would seem like a global catastrophe. Over time, these stories were passed down, growing in scale and becoming the legends we know today. What is remarkable about the Noah's Ark story is how it persisted and evolved. When the Israelites were exiled to Babylonia in the 6th century BCE, they came into contact with these older Mesopotamian flood stories. Many scholars believe that during this period, the story of Noah was shaped and recorded in the form we recognize today. The answer lies in the fears that continue to haunt humanity. Flood myths represent more than natural disasters. They symbolize overwhelming challenges that threaten to destroy everything people have built. In the modern era, rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and the looming threat of global crises remind us that the fear of destruction is not just ancient history, it's a part of our present reality. The line between myth and reality is often blurred. Myths are not necessarily lies. They are reflections of truths, distorted by time and imagination. Reality, on the other hand, is what can be measured, touched, and proven. When these two worlds intersect, the result is a story powerful enough to shape history. Noah's Ark is one such story, a tale that sits at the crossroads of belief and fact. The earliest known flood story comes from Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Around 1800 BCE, a clay tablet inscribed with the Epic of Gilgamesh described a great flood sent by the gods to destroy humanity. In this story, a man named Utnapishtim was chosen to build a massive boat, saving his family and all living creatures. The details in this account, the dimensions of the boat, the gathering of animals, and the eventual landing on a mountain mirror the story of Noah remarkably. Scholars believe that the biblical account of Noah's Ark, written centuries later, likely drew inspiration from this earlier tale. This similarity raises questions about the relationship between myth and history. The presence of flood myths in other ancient societies suggests a common origin. The Hindus have the story of Manu, who survived a great flood with the help of a fish god. The Greeks tell of Deucalion and Pyrrha, who repopulated the earth after a deluge. Even Native American tribes share stories of massive floods that reshaped the world. What these stories have in common is not just the theme of survival, but the suggestion that something significant happened, something remembered across cultures. The key to understanding the reality behind the myth lies in looking at geological evidence. The Black Sea deluge hypothesis, proposed in the late 1990s, suggests that a massive flood occurred around 5600 BCE, when the rising waters of the Mediterranean Sea poured into the Black Sea basin. The sudden influx of water could have submerged entire communities, giving rise to flood legends that eventually spread across the region. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Such a flood would have been catastrophic enough to leave a lasting memory for generations. To those who lived through it, the world as they knew it would have ended. The story of a single family surviving such a disaster could have evolved into the Noah's Ark legend, passed down orally before being written into religious texts. Modern shipbuilders have questioned the feasibility of such a vessel remaining afloat, especially with Bronze Age technology. The logistics of housing pairs of every animal species, feeding them, and managing waste further stretch the limits of believability. This brings the focus back to the mysterious formation near Mount Ararat. Discovered in 1959 during an aerial survey, the Darupanar site has intrigued explorers and scientists alike. The boat-shaped formation matches the biblical ark's dimensions almost exactly. Over the decades, various expeditions have attempted to uncover its secrets. A vast ocean stretched endlessly in every direction. Water had swallowed the world, leaving only silence and the steady creaking of a massive wooden vessel. This ship, Noah's Ark, carried the last hope for life on Earth. The Ark was more than just a boat. It was a floating sanctuary, holding the seeds of a new beginning. Within its wooden walls were the chosen few, humans and animals alike, tasked with rebuilding life after the Great Flood. The most significant passengers aboard the Ark were Noah and his family. Noah, a man known for his righteousness and faith, had been chosen to lead humanity's survival. Alongside him stood his wife, whose strength and determination helped sustain life aboard the vessel. Together, they shared the responsibility of caring for every living creature on board. Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, joined their father. Each son brought his wife, forming a group of 8 humans entrusted with the future of civilization. These 8 individuals were more than just survivors. They represented the beginning of a new era. Shem, Ham, and Japheth would later become the ancestors of nations spread across the world. Their descendants would populate lands far and wide, shaping the future of humanity. Their task was monumental. Life aboard the Ark was not easy. Caring for countless animals, feeding them, cleaning their enclosures, and ensuring their safety required constant attention. The ship became a floating world of endless responsibilities, where every day meant survival not just for themselves, but for all the creatures that shared the journey. The Ark's animal passengers brought with them the promise of a new beginning. Each species on Earth had a place within this sanctuary. The instructions for their selection were precise. For the impure animals, there was one pair, a male and a female. These animals, such as camels and pigs, were not considered suitable for sacrifices or essential for human survival. Still, they had a role in the balance of nature and would ensure the diversity of life continued. The pure animals, on the other hand, received special consideration. These animals, which included sheep, goats, and cattle, were essential for food, agriculture, and religious offerings. We brought 7 pairs of each pure species aboard the Ark. Their larger numbers would ensure that humanity had the necessary resources to thrive once the floodwaters receded. These animals would help sustain life in the new world, providing food, labor, and companionship. The Ark also carried birds, reptiles, and mammals of all kinds. From the smallest sparrows to majestic eagles, the sky's creatures found shelter among the wooden beams. Reptiles slithered in secure enclosures, while mammals, large and small, rested in spaces designed for their survival. Every chirp, growl, and rustle reminded Noah's family of the life they were entrusted to protect. It became a floating zoo, a place where predators and prey coexisted. Lions roared from their enclosures while gentle lambs rested nearby. The balance of this fragile ecosystem required careful management. Food had to be stored and distributed wisely. Predators needed meat, while herbivores required grains and plants. The constant sound of movement echoed through the ship, a reminder that life persisted, even when the world outside had been silenced by the flood. Birds played a vital role in the IT journey. They were not just passengers, but also symbols of hope. After the rains ceased and the waters began to settle, Noah released a raven. The bird flew back and forth, searching for dry land, but found none. Later, a dove was released. It returned, carrying an olive branch, a sign that trees had begun to grow once more. The dove's final departure and absence signified the Earth's readiness for repopulation. These birds carried with them the promise of renewal. Every living being aboard had a purpose. Elephants stomped in their enclosures, towering above other animals. Giraffes stretched their long necks, observing the world from above. Tiny insects buzzed, carrying with them the unnoticed yet vital roles they played in the balance of ecosystems. Together, they represented the diversity and beauty of life, saved from the destruction that had consumed the earth. The journey of this is more than a tale of survival. It is a profound reflection of human resilience, faith, and the hope for new beginnings. The story speaks to the enduring human spirit, the ability to overcome devastation and rise again. The Ark, carrying Noah's family and countless species, became a vessel of renewal, ensuring that life would continue after the flood's destruction. For centuries, this story has echoed through time, transcending borders and cultures. It has been retold in sacred texts, passed down in oral traditions, and etched into the memory of civilizations. Whether seen as a historical event, a powerful metaphor, or a moral lesson, the significance of Noah's Ark remains timeless. It represents humanity's constant struggle with fear, loss, and the desire for redemption. If you're enjoying this journey, click the Super Thanks button. By supporting the content, you're helping me keep uncovering more mysterious stories and sharing them with you. His message extends far beyond its wooden frame. It symbolizes the delicate balance between destruction and creation. The floodwaters washed away a corrupted world, but from that devastation emerged an opportunity for growth. Life, though fragile, proved strong enough to endure. The story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is potential for light and renewal. Modern explorations searching for the Ark's remains tap into this deep human desire to connect with the past. The mysterious formation near Mount Ararat fuels the imagination, sparking debates between believers and skeptics alike. Some see the possibility of uncovering tangible proof of the Ark as validation of faith and history. Others view the search as an opportunity to understand the myths that have shaped human culture. Yet whether or not it is ever found, its legacy endures. The story continues to inspire, challenging future generations to reflect on their own lives. It urges us to consider how humanity responds to adversity. In the face of overwhelming odds, Noah built the Ark, an act of faith, determination, and hope. He preserved life when all seemed lost. As the waters receded and the Ark came to rest, a new chapter for humanity began. The survivors stepped onto dry land, greeted by a world ready for a fresh start. The rainbow that followed became a symbol of promise, a reminder that destruction does not have to be the end. Life moves forward, adapting, surviving, and thriving. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.